What's up, folks? Well, here we are at episode 10, week 4 of the NFL. And we're hoping the Eagles will actually have pulled out a win by the time it's all said and done tonight. We will see. Of course, we're playing San Fran. San Fran beat up just as much as we are. So we'll see if the Eagles can actually pull off the win here. We're also going to be talking the Sixers' new hire, Phillies with Matt Glentak to step down. So it's a loaded show for you guys. Flyers with their extension. And, of course, anything and everything that went wrong with the Eagles last week. We hope that he can fix it this week. And we will show a clip of Doug's body mechanics from the post-press conference right after their loss last week to when he spoke to Dave Spadaro with the Eagles and how much of a difference it was. So lots to talk about. We'll get the show underway. And I'll also explain, if you guys and girls can see it, my right eye has a bit of a bruise on there, and I'll explain it, well, after a short introduction. So without further ado, I'm Angel. This is Broad Street South Sports Talk. So again, welcome everybody. We really appreciate everyone coming on. By the way, if you are not a part of the channel and or a part of the page here, by all means, please like, subscribe, share with all your friends to the different pages, because the more we make the show as far as for you guys, the better for us. We like to keep it local. And if we have local folks on, of course, we have them on as well because, well, we like to share the wealth with everybody. So again, we're talking Eagles. And before we start talking Eagles, there's two things I've mentioned here. One is, of course, and as soon as one of those things, we're scroll up here for a second. The official sponsor of the show, Tampa Joe's. The official sponsor of the show is Tampa Joe's, and everyone who's down here tonight, they'll be making their way down there to Tampa Joe's. And that would be, of course, this group right here, Philly to South, the Philadelphia Eagles fan club, and that's run by Mike Klein and all the fans down there. So we hope that they have a good night at Tampa Joe's. Hopefully, it'll be a much better night than what it's been as far as the last couple of games. Last couple of games, of course, has been nothing but rain down here in Tampa. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be another rainy night down here. At least that's what it looks like coming from the news window out here to my left. It looks like we might have some more rain. So back here at the home studio, next up we have, of course, my co-host, Mike Fuji. And after that, we will get into some thank yous because they're, well, much deserved. So without further ado, here is my co-host, Mike Fuji. Mike, what's going on? How are you?
Good, Angel. How you doing? Game.
I'm all right. I'm hoping to see what's going to happen today. Of course, we're all probably biting our nails and toenails and God knows what other things to see if the Eagles can pull off this win today, because 0-2-1, and as bad as the NFC East is, we can actually end up in first place tonight with this goofy 1-2-1 record.
Well, the NFC lease is, it's back to what it's being called from a couple years ago. I mean, Dallas lost, Washington lost. Looks like the Giants are on their way to another loss as well. Hopefully the Eagles, I think they're going to find a way to win this game tonight. I don't know how, but miracles have shined on this team.
Well, that's what we're all hoping for, because at this point, I don't know how many people are actually believing that if they can get it done, we're hoping they can get it done. But we're going to have, of course, our shared opinion with Ryan Reese coming up here shortly from Phillyverse. Prior to having Ryan come join us, there's a couple of quick mentions here. One being the biggest one, which would be thank you to everyone who tuned in last week. Of course, we had a 3-show episode, and we're sorry for all the audio issues, not the other issues, but the audio issues that we had last week. So we're trying to get those resolved. And unfortunately, when you go out live somewhere on location, it's tough because once they crank up the speakers and the audio system, it makes it hard for everyone to hear the actual show. So this week, we're all in our home studios, and it makes it just a little bit better. But thank you to everyone who tuned in for the Derek Gunn interview, which we had a lot of fun with Derek Gunn. Mark Grote, we had fun with him, which that was the post-game show, but 900 views, and we can't say thank you enough for 900 views and even 718 halftime views. So we really do appreciate all you guys sharing, liking the page, talking to your friends about it. You can find us again on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We're out there, and we just hope that everyone appreciates the show as much as we appreciate you guys, because without you guys, of course, we can't get things done. And the other mention, of course, would be, if I'm keeping it local, here with the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Stanley Cup champions, and that was a tremendous series by the Tampa Bay Lightning. And of course, you see the 3 cups there: Conn Smythe, the Eastern Conference Cup, and of course the Stanley Cup. And if I can bring something up here, which something that something that was mentioned, if the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup, what they were going to do is put the Stanley Cup on a jet ski, and then sure enough, so that was a lot of fun last week. And I went out there, of course, to check out everything, because it's the first time I've ever seen a parade on the water. But it was a lot of fun, good times. Everybody was just enjoying themselves. I think I actually might have another picture here from Lord Stanley himself. Of course, the fun part of all this is when you have to scroll around. But mind me here for a second. There we go. There's one. That was the fun one, was with the Bud Light can trophy. So that was pretty neat, the way they're doing that one. And of course, then it was the Lord Stanley Cup himself. So a lot of fun last week. We really enjoyed it. So that was pretty cool. But in the background, we have waiting here so patiently. We thank him for waiting. Philly Versus own Ryan Reese. So we're going to have Ryan on with us here. Of course, we're going to be breaking down Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, you name it. He talks about it on his podcast as well. So if you guys haven't seen his channel, of course, go check out Ryan Reese's group as well, Phillyverse. And without further ado, we will bring on Ryan himself. Ryan, how are you?
Good, Angel. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. And of course, we keep things local as much as we say, and we try to do it to make everyone entertained and for everyone to have fun. But we do appreciate you coming on. And if you can give the folks a little information as far as what Phillyverse is all about and how long you guys been around.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually started podcasting probably about 11 years ago, just as a way to keep close with some friends, and kind of never really kind of did anything more with it. But I guess kind of after everything kind of got popular with podcasts, I kind of started up again. And Phillyverse is basically a podcast network. We have 5 shows right now. The Football Smack Talk show, the Philly Broadcast, Mike Sports, TLC podcast, and the Bald Eagle podcast. We just it's all Philly sports podcasts pretty much every day of the week, and just kind of doing what we all love talking about, sports. So.
Yeah, that is so true. But listen, again, I thank you for coming on. I know that obviously all of us could be doing other things, but we do appreciate you coming on with us and having fun. And of course, we'll be getting all into Eagles talk here momentarily. But Mike, what can we say? We saw the fiasco what it was last week. I don't think any of us by any means are happy with the result from last week. The Eagles basically had 5 quarters to get the job done. They didn't get it done. And of course, we'll be talking about a little bit later on. But I don't know, what's your feeling from last week? I know you were fired up last week, and as much as everybody was as well. But what's your feelings coming into this week's game?
Well, last week was just flat out disgusting. I mean, for some reason they got a bad history with the Bengals. It's the second time they tied them since 2008. Doug was saying that he wished he would have went for it and kicked the field goal, which we all probably would have agreed for Doug to do. But I think for some reason tonight the Eagles come out, run the ball. I mean, I think they just pull it out. Don't ask me how. I mean, San Francisco's plagued with injuries, and Garoppolo's out. The running game's in disarray. And for some reason, I just think they pull it out somehow. Don't ask me how, but the NFL gods have shined down on the Eagles some days.
Yeah, well, let's see. Let's see what happens this weekend. As one thing I'm going to mention as well, if you guys out there, as far as viewers, our guys here on the panel, if you tend to see me blink a lot more or kind of not rub the eye, but as far as blink a little bit more, my right eye ended up taking an injury yesterday. And of course, I could come out with a story and say that last week I tried to tell the coach to put me in, coach, and put on my helmet. And unfortunately, I got banged up on one play and let me go. But not the case. Unfortunately, I was going outside to cut this here palm tree down, that little palm frond that's coming down. And unfortunately, I had an electric saw in one hand, the trash can in another. And thankfully, I have my sunglasses on, because if I didn't have them on, as you can see, I don't know how good you can see it, but it ended up breaking off. And actually, what ended up saving my eye, because the trash can, if you can see a little sharp piece of plastic that's there, apparently that's what gave me the 5 stitches. That if you guys see the eye that's swollen here, it cut it wide open. So thankfully, it didn't take my eye out. So I'm forever grateful it didn't happen. But so if you guys see me blink a little bit extra more, unfortunately, I do have an injury, and it's very painful. Been bleeding all day long to try and keep a little bit of moisture in there, and not fun, but thank God at least I didn't lose an eye. So I almost felt like Ralphie when my girlfriend came out there to make sure I was fine. I felt like Ralphie in the Christmas story, like, you shot your eye out, and that's exactly what it felt like. So just to make fun of my own self, because you got to make fun of your own injury. But before we get into Phillies talk, Ryan, how do you feel as far as last week's fiasco coming into this week?
Well, I don't feel great. I'll tell you that. I think we all have this image of 2017 in our minds, and the fact that we've made the playoffs and we've been very consistent, and it's a hard pill to swallow. But as many of us are, longtime fans, diehard fans, we've been through quite some ups and downs. So, I think some of the older fans are, while we're all not happy, well, at least we've kind of been through this storm, so to speak. But I'm really just more confused as kind of what's going on with this team. Nothing makes sense. Everything's kind of the opposite of what you think should be happening. This team has talent. This coaching staff knows what they're doing, and just nothing is working. And I think that's the worst part. It's very confusing. Like, if we all knew this was a bad football team and we were playing badly, all right, it wouldn't be great, but we'd at least have that expectation. But we have very high expectations, and it's just not great right now. It's very confusing.
Yeah, no, but I have to agree. And I wish there was something else that we can do, the magic 8 ball, whatever else you want to call it, to make things better. But, we keep hearing over and over again by Doug how things are getting straightened out. Carson says the same thing. And again, the proof will be in the pudding here about another hour and a couple of minutes here. But speaking of, as we switch gears here for a second, we've been hearing, as far as the Phillies, Matt Glentak, supposedly it was said prior to ending the season ending, supposedly they're going to fire him. The season ended. The rumor, of course, didn't come true. But then Matt Glentak himself decided to step down, which is, I guess, honorable for him. But he decided to step down because he felt like he couldn't do enough of things fast enough, according to also to John Middleton. And that, so, we're going to see I think the interim GM is going to end up taking over, which was the assistant to Matt. But the Phillies, of course, again, the other before I get into Matt Glentak's statement here, the big thing that, of course, all the fans and all of us are wondering is, what are they going to do with JT Realmuto? Because, again, something that John Middleton said that kind of didn't strike me too well, and I understand where he's coming from as far as saying that, if things don't happen next year, we can't sign JT. But I know Mike has, and also a statement too from as far as with the whole Sixto Sanchez trade and how that was all supposed to go into play. But looking here at Matt Glentak, he made the statement. It was up there on the Phillies website. It's still on the Phillies Twitter handle page. And basically what it came down to is him just, saying that he couldn't get the job done. He said it politely in the most polite terms as possible to all the Phillies fans, but he couldn't get the job done. And it's a shame because it was 5 years of Matt Glentak, but it just it was one run after next. We saw this offseason, not much happened after he claimed that we were going to spend stupid money and do all this fun stuff in Philly. And it just never came to fruition. So I don't know how you guys are feeling as far as Matt stepping down. What's the next direction for the Phillies? Obviously, Joe is, the man. As John Middleton said, he's sticking with Joe Girardi, and rightfully so. I mean, he came into this disastrous mess, so now it's his job to pretty much figure out who he wants to work with next and what our needs are for the offseason.
Well, I think, you got to bring in a legitimate general manager. John Middleton came out and said, he wanted signed off on the Real Muto trade, if there was an extension done, which there should have been right from the door. I mean, this minor league system's depleted. They don't really have not much of a minor league system at all. I mean, you figure you brought up Adam Baldwin this year and you brought up Spencer Hayward, which were your two top prospects. And I don't know, somewhere along this organization, there's just a lot of, John Middleton's got to bring in somebody like an old school Pat Gillett. Somebody that's a Theo Epstein, somebody that'll do the job.
That's what you think. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad that at least the first part happened and Clentac is no longer here. I think MacPhail needs to be next. I think he's a part of the problem. But after hearing Middleton's comments the other day, I'm now convinced that we have an owner problem. And we have an owner who is more concerned about, worrying about his bottom line, even though, previous comments would have said otherwise. And I think considering how well Sixto is doing this year, and if we don't sign Real Muto, it's going to be a disaster. Harper's not going to be happy. His team is going to be considerably, worse off. And they really just can't let Real Muto go. It's going to be a disaster. I'm just so fearful that he's going to go anywhere, especially the NL East.
Yeah, well, you got to figure it. I think I know the Atlanta Braves said they're one of the first ones to kind of jump on board for his services, and of course, and now you look at them during the postseason. But yeah, I mean, why wouldn't JT go down to Atlanta if the Phillies want to get the job done? I mean, why not? And even if the Braves decided to jump on it prior to whatever that comment that John Middleton made, and I'm going to bring it up here in a second, but. Why wouldn't he want to go to there? And I think, Mike, you had mentioned that the Yankees also were going to make a bid for him as well.
Well, I heard earlier they said the Mets, the Nationals have a lot of money. The Braves have a new owner, so he wants to spend money. And they said, if the Yankees trade Gary Sanchez, they'll get the bidding war for Real Muto. So I guess the sky's the limit for JT Real Muto right now. He's in the driver's seat as far as being probably one of the top prospects coming out in 2021, especially at the catcher position.
Right. Now, here's the comment in or the clip by John Middleton, and I think all of us were kind of taken aback with what he had to say.
We kind of figured he's going to be heading for free agency a long time ago. I see no change in that, Jim. I think it'll be filing for free agency. Can you tell me what the governor and the mayor are going to allow us to have next year in the way of fans? If you do, you know something that I don't. So I have no idea what we're going to be allowed. Obviously, that's going to determine revenues, determine what you can do and what you can't do. So, but yeah, is it a priority? Yeah, is it a priority? Absolutely.
So to me, that's kind of a kicker in the high end, because you're saying that obviously you're going with this whole theory that it's going to depend on what the governor says, what the mayor says. To me, I don't completely understand it. It just makes no sense to me. Yeah, you're okay. I understand it. You are an organization. You're supposed to be looking out for this stuff. You know that COVID happened this year, and you're looking into next year. So to me, everyone's going to come looking for JT, and you think he's just going to hang around like, oh, hold on for a second, we're going to wait to see what happens next year. No, he's going to sign with whoever's going to actually offer him the money. And again, they used the word stupid money for the last 2 years, and it didn't happen. Maybe with Bryce, they brought him on, but again, we had Didi Gregorius, and we have to wait for to see what happens with him as well, because remember, he said that he came in on the hometown discount this year because the year before he was plagued by injuries. So who's to say that Didi doesn't walk? There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in this organization, either before the winter meetings, before this goofy nonsense what John Middleton just said. I mean, it's things are, if they're going to happen, they better happen quick, because other than that, you're really going to lose a lot of patience with the Phillies fans.
Well, JT Realmuto is not going to take a hometown discount and just say, all right, I'll stay here. I mean, you know, you're talking about one of the best all-around catchers in the game, which, you know, something's got to give.
Right.
Yeah, it's they lost their chance to kind of get him on a discount. Now you're going to have to get at least $25 million per season for probably 5 years. And if he goes to a division rival, it will absolutely be crushing, considering the fact that you gave away your best pitching prospect, who, unlike, you know, probably since, you know, Aaron Nola and before him, Cole Hamels, we haven't really had any homegrown pitching, and we gave away our best one. And, you know, 2 years later, we're going to have none of them. That can't happen. Middleton, you even heard it in that clip, that smugness that he had. It just absolutely rubbed everyone the wrong way. He's more concerned about, you know, this, that, and the other for next year. This can't happen. You need to sign him. You need to go to Realmuto and his agent right now and say, what number, what, you know, let's get this done right now. Give him whatever the heck he wants. Worry about it next year, because your team right now, you can see every single team in this division got better. The Marlins are in the playoffs. We are sitting at home. And the Mets have crazy money that they're wanting to spend. So we are going to be in last place if we don't do something. And if we lose Realmuto and if we lose Gregorius, I mean, it's going to be just a flat out disaster. I can't keep saying it enough.
Well, you're back at square one, basically. Yeah. I mean, problem of it is they don't want to go over the luxury tax. I mean, Middleton came out and said he would if, you know, they're at that peak where, you know, playoff contention, but obviously they're not there, and something's got to give with them giving somebody the general manager's job to turn this thing around.
I mean, you already have a disaster in a bullpen. Your pitching staff, it wasn't terrible, but could be improved. And now you're going to start hurting your offense. The one thing that was leading your team, you're going to now make that an issue. That makes zero sense. You need to sign these two guys. You need to fix that bullpen, and you'll be right there competing for the division.
Yeah, you will be. I don't know. It's again, it's I want to see what's going to happen. And you're right, because they need to this week. They need to start talking to JT. Don't worry about that stuff. Will work itself out. And I'm pretty sure the governor, the mayor, whatever, you can bring whoever you want to and into the mix. They're going to change it as soon as November 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever Super Tuesday day is. Anyways, once that passes, everything's going to change. So things will come back to normal. Everything will be okay, and we'll all be singing Kumbaya. But anyways, a couple of comments here that I want to share with everyone. It's Mike, of course, every week, Mike Sherman. Please like and share the page, everyone. And Mike, thanks again for being the #1 supporter that we have. We really do appreciate it. And Tom, of course, as always. Hi, guys. Tom, thank you, along with everyone else, for viewing the show and coming on live with us and hanging around with us as well. And back to Mike, where this goes from Fuji. The Juru will make his prediction at the end of the show. Have a great show, guys. And so Ryan with Mike Sherman. So Mike, for the last 3 weeks, he's been on point. And then, you know, week one, of course, he said the Eagles were going to lose, and we said, now it's not going to happen. And he was right. And then week two, he picked the same thing as well. And last week, I didn't disagree with him, and I guess I went with them. And so I want to see what's going to happen come this week. But switching gears here from the Phillies, of course, you have the new head coach, which I'm pretty happy that the Sixers went ahead with Doc Rivers. I'm glad, actually, the Clippers let him go, and he was available. You know, I'm pretty sure a lot of us have been waiting around to see how the coaching hiring was going to go for Philly. You know, this team needs a major shakeup. I think that organization needs someone with actual leadership, with actual experience. and Doc Rivers has it. I mean, I don't know why the Clippers let him go. And who knows? And maybe LeBron, which has nothing to do with the Clippers, he has to do with the Lakers. Maybe he had something to do with it as well, because apparently everyone listens to LeBron. But the one thing that Doc Rivers had put in his statement, and it's, I believe, on Wednesday is his actual press conference. And his words, his quote is, "I am really excited about the opportunity to be joining a world-class franchise, a franchise whose legend inspired my nickname." Rivers said, "This is a city that loves sports and loves your teams. It's a city that values hard work, and that is exactly what we're going to do and who we're going to be. We're ready to do good things in Philadelphia." And Doc knows it. He's been around this city. You know, many times he's come here. He's played obviously against us. So Doc Rivers knows exactly what this team needs to get over that hump. I mean, as far as the guys that we have on the squad right now, if they actually can all get together and come together and play as a unit, that's another thing. But Doc Rivers is going to have his work cut out for him just as much as the next GM for the Phillies. But I like the hire. I don't know about you guys, but I do like the hire with Doc Rivers.
I think it was a great pickup by the Sixers. I mean, they went out. As soon as he got fired by the Clippers, he reached out to them. They brought him into Philly. I know they watched game one of the NBA Finals. You know, they had dinner. Josh Harris, Elton Brand. You know, they made, I guess, you know, they crunched the numbers, got a 5-year contract finished, and deal was done. I mean, you know, Brett Brown was, you know, really like the laughing stock in that locker room, because obviously Jimmy Butler didn't want to be here. And, you know, like, just didn't seem like Embiid or Ben Simmons like wanted to be a leader. And everybody looked at Jimmy Butler, and it's like Jimmy Butler and Brett Brown butt heads. And Jimmy Butler didn't want to be here. He's in the NBA Finals now, so you know, it's not going to be Doc Rivers turning this team around. I mean, Elton Brand's got to do something, and, you know, Doc has to get these guys playing and get them motivated. Ben Simmons has to learn to take jump shots. I mean, this is what he's lacked all these years. Hopefully they'll go out and get some pieces done and bring some players in, and, you know, sky's the limit. I mean, Doc won a title in 2008 with the Boston Celtics. You know, he was out with the Clippers there for 7 years, so I love the move. You know, you bring that old school mentality and take it from there. Light a fire under these guys.
Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, Mike, you said it great. Lighting a fire under them. You know, Brett Brown was a little bit too much a friend to Embiid and Simmons. And I think Doc is going to come in there and expects a lot from these guys. You know, a lot has been said about Embiid and his conditioning, and, you know, and obviously Ben Simmons and his lack of shooting. And I think he's going to hold them accountable to do that. And if they don't, well, then they're probably going to, you know, lose some playing time. And hopefully that's something that kind of fixes that. And hopefully they buy in, and hopefully they say, oh, you know what? This is a legend, you know, coach. He's won a championship. He's well respected around the league. Hopefully they give, you know, him his respect that he deserves and buy in, because if they don't, I could certainly see one of them getting shipped out of here. You know, that's unfortunate, but, you know, we have the talent. We just need somebody to put it together, and I hope that Doc is that person. And, you know, hopefully Elton can, you know, put the finishing touches on this decent team, and, you know, hopefully Ben can start shooting, because that's what they need.
Well, if you take a look as well, too, that at least the Sixers ownership is kind of a little bit brighter here than John Middleton, where the Sixers have been, I think, the last 2 seasons, if I remember correctly, the highest selling fan sellouts out of anyone in the NBA. So obviously they took care of a problem with Brett Brown. And, you know, Brett Brown, we appreciate everything he did for the organization, for the Sixers. He just couldn't get the job done. But the Sixers made the right move by bringing Doc Rivers on. So Yeah, it shows a lot what the Sixers will do, and they're right across the street from each other. So maybe they need to take a walk across the street over to John Middleton and tell him a thing or two of what the organization needs to get done. So I don't know. All I know is I hope that we get a better quality, at least for this team to vie for a playoff and actually win the first round of playoffs instead of getting eliminated like we did for the last 2 years. So I don't know. And I haven't watched the NBA since the whole kind of restart thing, and and that's just one of those things that comes with me. But come next year, hopefully the product will get a lot better with the NBA. Hopefully they'll kind of clean up their act there a little bit. Switching over to the Flyers, of course, we've learned that Brian Elliott signed a 1-year extension for $2 million. And I believe he actually restructured his contract so he can stay here for another year. And good for the Flyers because at least, again, another backup goalie. Brian knows the system. I mean, we all saw what the Flyers did this year, and they almost got there. Obviously, fell short when it came to the Islanders. We know they played a lot of bonus hockey as well, just like Tampa Bay did. But it's nice to see at least the Flyers are trying to make moves early because we know that there's going to be a short, condensed offseason like no other, only because of how it was paused, restarted. We just got done with the finals a week ago. And so I think they're off for about, I'm almost certain it's almost a month. So this week comes up free agents. The following week, the draft, free agents. And then I believe 2 weeks later, it's almost like they're getting ready again to hit the ice all over again. So it's going to be a very, very condensed season because they want to try and get back on track. But I like it. I like Brian Elliott to sign for 1 year. And again, you guys, your thoughts?
I think it was a great move. I mean, he's a serviceable backup. He's a veteran. He's stepped in when Carter Hart went down with the injury. And, I think the Flyers have to look around and, look at a couple of these high salaries that they got, like Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek. Because I think I would name somebody else captain. I mean, not to take away nothing for Claude Giroux, but just doesn't seem like captain material to me. I'm sure some people may rib me on my opinion, but he's not old, but he's not getting any younger. And I'm sure they could bring in some other youth depending on the salary cap in the NHL. Like I said, Jake Voracek's making a good amount of money, and they got a good nucleus with their defensemen and a couple of the younger guys, and Carter Hart being you think he's going to be definitely a top goaltender in the NHL as he gets older and stuff. So Chuck Fletcher, I think he should be up for like GM, general manager of the year possibly. I would do it. I mean, give it to him. He came in here after Ron Hextall really didn't want to make any moves, so took a chance on AV, which could possibly be up for coach of the year. And right now, the sky's the limit with the Flyers. I think they're definitely going in the right direction than they were the last couple of years.
I agree. Ryan?
Yeah. I definitely like the signing. I think not only, as Mike said, he's a very serviceable backup, but I think the importance of him being here for Carter Hart, being, someone he can kind of confide in and talk to, in the goalie room. I think that's more important than anything he may even do on the ice. So that I would do that deal 8 times a week. As far as kind of the other stuff that Mike was talking about, yeah, I mean, this team certainly has, some high salaried players. Giroux, he's 33, he's over 5 million. Voracek, 32, he's I believe 7.5. JVR is 32, he's 7. I mean, there's not a lot of money going around, and you really need to improve your kind of second and third line offense. So I'm glad that they didn't go out and kind of spend more money than they needed to on a backup, because they need to kind of be very selective in some of their offseason moves here. And as you said, they're going to be playing ice hockey real soon. I mean, normally, October is the start of hockey season. So
Right.
it's probably going to be about another month, or what they said, December, I believe they're going to start playing regular season games. So
Yeah.
things are going to happen real quick. And, hopefully the Flyers are, again, they're on the right path. They're the most promising, team in Philadelphia right now. They're the only ones that kind of give us a little hope right now. And hopefully they can build on what was an impressive year last year and, continue to strive towards that Stanley Cup.
No, we hope. And Tom, here to piggyback on what Mike was saying just for you is AV lit a fire under some butts, and that's true. And we are going to see the most condensed offseason ever. I mean, from everything happening from the draft to signing players. I mean, there's so much has got to happen within a short amount of time. And we're October 4th, I believe it is today. So you're talking about going into December, which means next month they start getting back on the ice again. And yeah, the Flyers. To me, I was really surprised the way they end up playing this year and how far they went. I wish they could have beaten the Islanders. I mean, I know they kind of beat themselves as well. It's one of those things, but there could be. This is going to be an exciting team. It really is. And if Tampa, of course, has the opportunity of repeating as Stanley Cup champions, and I think the only ones really that will get in their way will be the Flyers. At least, I feel. Unfortunately, I missed the game in February. It got canceled because of the pandemic, and that sucked. But it is what it is. So hopefully I get to see him again come next year down here in Tampa. But of course, things that we want to get into, and that is the 0-2-1 Philadelphia Eagles. And oh boy, this is tough. And the one thing I think that none of us want to see is this guy right here. I don't think anybody wants to see this, and we're getting so close to it. I mean, the Browns fans, I think they passed it back to us, and I don't know what's going to happen. I wish there were some recordings that I could actually play because, I mean, you had between ESPN and the NFL Network, there were so many guys that talked about where is Carson's head at this point. And Dougie P, the way he's been handling this. And again, we hear week after week after week, we're going to make things better. Things are going to get better. Carson comes out and says all the right things. And it's just a repeat of Donovan McNabb, Andy Reid. It's just the 2.0 version of it. It's unfortunate, and I'll keep saying it until they'll get it right. 2 weeks now that I mentioned the communication factor of it, and we're still lacking that communication on that O-line, on that D-line. I mean, it looks like bad news bears out there when it comes to the football. Even though it's unrelated, because obviously it's baseball relation, but that's exactly what it looks like. And I have a clip where last week, and it was one of those pissers, and it kind of made me mad, where Doug had this persona like, yeah, I'll take your questions, but I'm going to get annoyed. And about 5 minutes into it, you'll start seeing the biomechanics between Doug and the reporters, obviously, who aren't there. It's virtual. But he stands around like, seriously, you're asking me this? Like, it was just the attitude. And of course, the next day you flip things around. And, we were talking about prior to coming on air here that it seemed like he probably went home, had a beer or had a glass of wine, talked to his wife, said, I probably look like an idiot out there with the media. I know the Philly fans are really upset and I need to do better. So the following day, the press conference was a lot better. But I don't know. I don't know, again, and I know we talked about this prior to switch over and starting with the Phillies here, but we're looking at an 0-2-1 team that could possibly, if they can pull off this win tonight, actually take over first place. And that's how bad the NFC East is. I mean, you have the DCU team that beat us week 1. And if no one knows who the DCU is, that's the District of Columbia University, also known as the Washington football team. So you have them who beat us week 1. After that, they've gone on a losing streak. Dallas, who almost actually pulled it off this week after that goofy onside kick that Atlanta, I don't know what the hell they weren't thinking that as far as falling on the ball. So you have Dallas almost came back to beat the Browns. Browns beat Dallas today. So, and the Giants are what the Giants are, what we all thought they were, which is nothing. So this is just an abomination of the NFC East. And before I show the clip, I want to get the thoughts from you guys because it's an embarrassment.
No, absolutely. I guess, look like a bunch of college teams out here that probably could whip the whole division.
Yeah, it's not great. This is the second week in a row now that all of the the teams have lost. the other teams have lost. So we really had an opportunity that, again, if we were playing up to our expectations and, let's, say, hey, we lose that Rams game regardless, you should have beat the Washington football team and you should have beat the Bengals and you should be sitting at 2-1 right now. Being, going into this game, looking to potentially going up 2 games in the division. And it's just obviously not what's happening. And we got to struggle. And, you're hoping that Dallas doesn't, flip that switch and start, playing up to their talent level. And, we got a tough schedule. So, we really need this game. This game and next game, I feel like, if we get, a win out of these two, things are looking a lot better. But if we lose, I think that might be it.
I'd have to agree, but
Well, what happens tonight if the Eagles tie again? I mean, if the road 2-2, do they do a virtual tie for first place or what?
yeah, that's exactly what ended up being a virtual tie for first place. So yeah, that'll be nice. Why don't we, matter of fact, if they go 0-2-2, why don't we can have an Xbox versus PlayStation, because that's exactly what we're going to be looking at. Because everyone, I love when the callers call in during the week to the different radio programs out there, and they'll say, "Oh, I played so and so on my game and I beat them." Yeah, well, we can all do that on the game. But you're right. If you go 0-2-2, I think that's what the Eagles are going to have to do is do an Xbox PlayStation showdown, because that would be a royal embarrassment, worse than what it was last week. So I don't know, but I'm going to show the clip here with Dougie P, and I want to see if you guys kind of pick up on the same thing that I did here. It was, to me, it was quite upsetting, because you'll see the body mechanics, and it was just relentless to me. So here's Doug from last week's post press game conference.
Can you take us through the decision to punt at the end of the game, please?
Yeah, the decision there. One of two things. You can either attempt it on 4th down and try to go for. We tried to go for the field goal, the game winner. That was the thing. We were going to go for the game winner with the kick. Felt comfortable with Jake. Had the wind. The false start back to sub. So we just said, hey, let's just punt the football here. We didn't want to give them the ball, towards midfield, or even a chance to go for it on 4th down and long. Incomplete pass, something like that. They get the ball short field. They could kick a field goal and win the game. So, just made that decision. Hopefully, something positive might have come out of the punt.
John McMullen and then Kristen Rogers.
Hey, Doug. If you go back to regular time, did you consider at all going for 2 when the game was tied?
I did. I did consider it, but I also felt like the way our offense was playing, towards the down the stretch, battled to get ourselves back in position. Carson in overtime felt comfortable there to just kick the extra point, and then.
If Joe Biden gets elected, we can kiss goodbye to the economy that we've been enjoying. He's going to raise taxes. He's already said that.
If you elect me, your taxes are going to be raised, not cut.
If Donald Trump stays president, my outlook for the future is limitless.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
With moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, your plans can change at any time. Your head wants to do one thing, but your gut says, not today. GI-focused Entyvio is made for this. Entyvio acts specifically in the GI tract to prevent an excess of white blood cells from entering and causing damaging inflammation. Entyvio has helped many patients achieve long-term relief and remission. It may help you too. Infusion and serious allergic reactions.
Imagine, of course, when it comes to these videos and you have to wait for the playback, is just that, because they have to insert the ads. So I'm waiting for the ads here to pass by, and then we'll bring it back.
A rare, serious, potentially fatal brain infection cannot be ruled out. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, experience frequent infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Liver problems can occur with Entyvio. If other treatments haven't worked.
And of course, I'm trying to do the skip ad and won't do it because it's the magic of YouTube. All right, here we go. Hopefully it'll come back and sounds a lot better.
And
your guys right now? I mean, what's the mood for this team? I mean, a tie is kind of almost as bad as a loss at this point.
Yeah. I told him in the locker room after the game that we weren't a very smart football team today. I think 11 penalties, came at crucial times, and we couldn't get off the field on defense, and offensively, we didn't execute well enough. We had some injuries, but that's going to be part of the game. But just not a smart football team right now, and that's on me, and we'll get that fixed as we get ready for this next week. But I like how our team battled, hung in there, came back to tie the game at the end. But just overall, not very smart today, not very disciplined, when those are some of the things we talk about quite a bit.
Rob, and then Jeff McLean.
Doug, why do you think this offense is still out of sync, still can't seem to find a rhythm, and how much do you blame some of those injuries on that?
Well, it is hard, when you got some moving pieces and you got different guys in there. But listen, we're not going to make excuses for anything. We got to continue to work. We got to continue to practice, get better, and sort these things out. And when the injuries piled up today, it just sort of got us a little bit out of our game plan rhythm. It was tough today to find a sync, to find rhythm. I had to give credit to the Bengals, for kind of mixing up some coverages, some fronts on us. We just got to continue to work.
Jeff, and then to McManus.
Doug, are Carson's mechanics the reason why he's missing layup throws?
And then to Franklin.
Hey, Doug, you pride yourself.
So that part there, that's what I wanted everyone to kind of see there. The funny thing was, so obviously he got a little pissed off with that layup question because he was asked that I don't know how many times that week, which I found extremely funny, where he just didn't, as much as I want to say blow it off, but he did. It was just, he was getting annoyed as the questions got more and more. At one point, he got over to the side of the podium and then walked in front of the podium, and that's where it was that look like, who are you guys? Basically, what it comes down to. I'm the coach. I know how to run this team, but apparently you don't, because the proof was in the pudding last week with, again, a tie, and with the Bengals. Are you serious? 23-23. You had the opportunity, even if Jake Elliott, like your State Farm kicker, could have made it, but you chose not to because you said, Doug, that he wouldn't be able to make it. So I don't get it. I just don't.
Well, Doug just looked like he was lost for words. Like, how many more excuses can you make for this team? They aren't a smart football team because they're not evidently playing smart football. I mean, I think Wentz is lacking confidence. You got Press Taylor, you got Marty Morningwig, you got Rich Scandarillo. Dog, I think you got too many cooks in the kitchen with this offense because Wentz doesn't know where to turn to. I mean, the injuries are piling up like mad, and what the hell? I mean, I think Wentz is getting a lot of the blame, but I think there's enough blame to go around for this team. I mean, how many more times can Carson say, I got to do better? But, it's a must win tonight because with this COVID stuff creeping in, who the hell knows? I mean, you got Pittsburgh, you go out there next week, they're on their bye. You got the Ravens, lined up in the next couple weeks, and it's just, where do you go from here? You got to come out swinging tonight. Your backs are against the wall, and, everybody just better be clicking on all cylinders.
That is true. Before Ryan comes on here, Rick Marcus says, sounds like Chip Peterson. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. And Rick, I think it's the same one that was in KC last week. And Rick, we thank you obviously for tuning in as well. But yeah, he does. So, Ryan, your thought there?
Well, I mean, this is typical Doug at a press conference. He gets asked the same questions, maybe put differently, and he dances around it. And then he gets, kind of his little, Doug attitude, how dare you ask questions? Well, that's their job, and you're not answering them. And there are real problems on this team, and I understand that you may not want to address them, or you maybe want to later, in the week, kind of have more of a prepared statement. But, I always hate the fact that he just gets so angry at these reporters for asking these questions when that's the question we want to know. What is going on with Carson? Why is he not playing like the Carson that we've seen before? We've all seen Carson can play at an elite level. He can make elite level throws. What is happening this year? Why is he not doing that? Is it something mental? Is it something physical? Is there an injury we don't know about? Is it, the loss of some of, his offensive guys like Frank Reich and some of the other guys? But I don't know. I mean, Doug needs to address it somehow, and Carson needs to address it somehow. The biggest way he can address it, come out tonight, make your throws, ball out, get a win. That would quiet some people up, wouldn't it?
It sure would, at least on my behalf. Mike, I don't know what you think, but yeah, it would definitely shut some people up.
Well, to piggyback off Ryan said, Frank Reich, look at Nick Foles come out and said, Frank Reich figured his strong points out. That's why we did get, the Super Bowl win and hoist up the trophy. But I think, no John DeFilippo and Frank Reich were major keys to Wentz's success. And, like I say, the undisputed MVP of the 27 season, which he should have got. But, it's like different coordinators every year. And you got, it's just obviously, to me, like I said, I think Frank Reich was the brains behind the operation. Not to take nothing away from Doug. I mean, Doug is the coach, but Frank put the game plan together.
Right.
So hopefully it'll all change tonight and they can get something turning around going, get on a winning streak fast. Because, like we said, you got Pittsburgh coming up, you got Baltimore, you got this COVID lingering around the league. So, come out clicking on all cylinders and get a win tonight and get back on that winning track.
No, that's true. A couple of comments to get to here real quick is Mike, once again, Sherman, please like and share the page. Everyone, we do appreciate that. Tom says they have 14 assistant coaches. And if you pick us, we'll be then 15, 16, and 17. And maybe all of us can get together and we can pull off the win. So, I mean, I don't know, Tom. 14 means absolutely nothing to the Eagles because maybe that's what they'll end up being here in a couple of weeks. 0-14 if they keep going the way they're going, or 0-14-1 with that goofy loss. And, of course, Mike Klein, my buddy, my pal, my friend, the president of the Philadelphia Eagles fan club, Philly of the South, which is the name of the club. And Mike's down here at Tampa Joe's tonight. He's checking in from home, of the Philly of the South. And hello, guys, from Tampa Joe's. So, Mike, I hope that everyone has turned on down there, and hopefully they'll be making some noise because we definitely need some noise made because this is going to be just, I don't know, just an abomination. So, who knows? There's a couple of clips, of course, that I have here and keeping up with the Eagles and the stuff they got going on. But before I end up doing that, of course, we thank Ryan Reese for coming on with us tonight. Ryan, of course, from Phillyverse. And if you guys would like to see, of course, what he and his group they do, find them on Facebook, Phillyverse. Yep. And you guys, and Ryan, if I remember correctly, you said you have 5 different shows going on right now?
Yeah. We Phillyverse is essentially a podcast network of shows. So we have Football Smack Talk show. We have the Philly Broadcast, Mike Sports, the TLC podcast, and the Bald Eagle podcast. It's all Philly 4 for 4. We kind of have a show about pretty much everything, and we're all over Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, all that at Philly_verse.
And I do see that you guys stay pretty active. I do see that much. I mean, laying out shows after shows, and it is tough. Believe me, it's not the easiest thing in the world. So I do applaud what you guys end up doing. Of course, it goes without saying as well, since Mike brought it up, Tampa Joe's the official sponsor of Broad Street South Sports Talk, and we thank Mike Goodwin and his group. for coming on as a sponsorship. So we really appreciate that. And they have a new restaurant that's opening soon. So I'll be down there taking a look at their new restaurant. And as I told Mike before, I'm going to have a bigger stomach to eat all the food that they have. And they have, some great stuff between the fish and chips. The Cuban sandwich is awesome over there. They have quesadillas. I mean, you name it. It's a fine establishment. Even if I wasn't part of that group down there, even if you just stop to eat, you can't go wrong. So Tampa Joe's, if you guys go, by all means, stop down there. It's a great place. Rick here says, let's hope the next time we chat, it's about a Philly win. Go Birds. Let's hope, Rick. Let's hope. But right now, I don't think between the three of us are feeling anything whatsoever. And the Juru himself said he's going to give us a prediction. And I don't – he's been right. Mike has been right. That's the unfortunate part. He hasn't been right, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be right yet again. So, but thanks, Rick. And again, to everyone who tuned in last week, we thank you guys earlier in the show for 900 views. We really do appreciate it, and especially the 718 on the halftime. And we will be back for the halftime show this week, so we'll see how we're faring at that part. But the funny thing is, and again, sticking with Doug needs to really, and I know people are saying that he needs to light a fire in a lot of people's butt, and it just seems like Doug, and Mike talked about this last week, that Doug is not the same as he was, 2017, where he was going for it. There were gutsy calls. He was doing everything right. And again, I don't know if it's just Nick walking away, and maybe Nick took some of that with him. Who knows? Maybe Carson still is hanging under this Nick MVP tree that he won the Super Bowl championship and he didn't. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's getting to be annoying because Doug is your head coach. You should be talking to, as Tom said, your 14 assistant coaches and add us 3, that'd be 17. But, you should be talking to them and telling them what you're not doing right. And if you guys stay there at that facility 24/7 leading up to game time, then do so, because we need to see what the product is going to be out there as far as on the field. But Rick said that they have excellent food, and I agree. Rick is 100% right. No. And before we go into the clips here.
Do they deliver up to Philly?
They could. They definitely could.
I was going to say. Can you send us some upset?
Yeah. I'll gladly eat.
Good. Making me hungry now.
They definitely could. It's but if you guys want to go, it's 9316 Anderson Road. But I'll see what I can do. Maybe I can send some food up that way. And speaking of the Juru,
that dry ice.
Well, we hope the dry ice shouldn't make it. It's as long as no one puts their hands or anything else in there and burn their fingers off. But hopefully they'll end up making it. Lord knows people have done that one before. But speaking of Mike, here he is. He says a prediction. I should have taken this later, but okay. The Niners 36, Eagles 16. That might not be a far stretch. It actually may not be a far stretch. Who knows? Doug, Brandon Graham, Zach Ertz. There's a couple guys here that they're a little, of course, little worked up. They said that we've been there before. They know they've been there before with the fans, that they're not feeling the pressure. But honest to God, I'm pretty sure they are. Zach Ertz, of course, he's still waiting for that contract to see if he's going to remain an Eagle or if he's going to end up walking. So, Zach has got to be feeling it as far as both ways. The one thing that I didn't like, and Carson knows that he's injury prone, was, again, when we ask someone to do something, sure, you can help out the team as far as, obviously throwing the ball where it's catchable, not over someone's shoulders, not throwing it down to their feet there, Donovan, and hope that these guys are able to catch the ball. But last week, Carson decided to do this, which, of course, reminded us of the Rams game and what happened to him there.
Which I'm a little surprised with. Wentz on 2nd and goal. Pocket collapses. Wentz trying to buy some time. He's going to tuck it away, run for it. Lunges end zone for the touchdown. What a run by Wentz.
Listen, I as soon as he did it, I was waiting for that helmet to hip, leg, knee, ankle, you name it. I was waiting for it. And Carson knows he should. It's annoying because Carson should know you stay in the pocket as long as you can. I understand you want to make a run. I understand you went in for a touchdown. Don't get me wrong, but you're injury prone. You know this. Jalen Hurts is waiting in the wings because apparently he leapfrogged Nate Sudfeld. So, hey, Carson, if you want to go out and give Jalen a shot, do that again against San Fran tonight, because apparently the West Coast is where you got injured the last time, and you're back over there again at Levi Stadium, except for it wasn't at Levi Stadium, it was at the old Rams facility. But again, I don't know how you guys feel. That run to me, I didn't like it.
Well, Carson does make plays with his legs, a la Randall Cunningham. Yeah, you're right, going back to the Rams game, but my thing is, hey, this offensive line don't protect anybody. What's Jalen Hurts going to help? What's he going to do back there? I mean, you got a depleted offensive line as it is. I mean, you could probably dig up Johnny Unitas and it still wouldn't matter. I mean, it's I'm going to say it. If Carson's got to go out and put the game on his shoulders and make the plays, go for it. Like you said, he is injury prone, but hey, it's going to take the heart and fire to win. So, I mean, if you're going to make the play, go ahead and do it. Suffer the repercussions later, but hey, at least he's not standing back there in the pocket like a statue, just overthrown, underthrown in the dirt like 5 did. I mean, it's, right. At least, hey, put the team on your back and let's go.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. I was actually encouraged. Obviously the injury stuff is in the back of my head, but the first couple games he didn't seem like he was wanting to roll out and use his legs, and obviously the throws that he's making or not making, I should say, are a little concerning. So the fact that he's using his legs to get first downs and obviously a touchdown in that clip, I see positive things. Injuries are going to happen. Obviously, you don't want to put yourself into a situation where you're going to get injured, but that's part of Carson's game is being elusive and kind of scrambling a bit. Obviously he's no Randall or Mike Vick or Lamar Jackson or anything like that, but he needs to keep plays alive. And unfortunately, with no receivers, let's be honest, he's going to have to rely on that a little bit more, and hopefully he's smarter about his choices. So I'm hoping that he does it more, but again, be a little smart about it.
Right. Now, you look at San Fran. Of course, San Fran is just about as banged up as the Eagles are. But of course, the next man up mentality, and it was talked about a lot on every network that you listen to this week. San Fran found a way to win. They've been doing well without Jimmy, with what they have, of course, on their line. But I don't understand how in the world, and I understand we're banged up. I know our front line's banged up. Once again, I went in for Jason Peters last week, and unfortunately, because I got injured, I had to get back out the game. They had to put Jason Peters back in there, but far stretch, of course. But Jason Peters, he's out again. And we knew this coming in that he probably was going to make it. So, again, it's a banged up front line. He's out. The money that was restructured from one of the players' contracts to make him to move over to left tackle, and now is basically nursing injury on top of course, Deshaun Jackson as well, another experimental, player that apparently has gone awry because apparently, as Doug said, it was his hamstring that's been bothering him. And listening to folks in the early part of the year, they were saying he looked the best he's ever looked. Once again, during practice, before the regular season started. So the injuries who have plagued us for the last 3 years in Philly continue to plague us again. It's just that San Fran has been a little bit better than what we have. I can't fathom to hear or see or anything this week if the Eagles go 0-3-1. So again, but Dave and Doug went over a little bit a couple of days ago with what Doug thought the changes or I guess the adjustments that needed to happen for this week. And I'll be bringing that up here shortly. And Dave Spadaro, of course, the Eagles insider for Philadelphia Eagles, he does an amazing job for the organization. Of course, a lot of the stuff that we get is from the Eagles organization, because if you miss it during the week, well, we like to recap it for you guys because it's a Philly thing. It's what we like to do. So, Brian, with obviously San Fran being banged up as much as they are right now, of course, Mike put his prediction out there at 36-16. How do you feel as far as what this O-line with what we have presented for this game, how do you feel? If are they going to run the ball? Are they passing? Or are we going to see just another fallout?
In an ideal world, what they should do is a lot different than probably what's going to happen. They should run the ball a lot. Miles Sanders needs to be relied on, considering that Greg Ward, who, mind you, is a year and some change removed from being a full-time practice squad player, is your number one wide receiver this week. Obviously you still have Zach Ertz, but let's be honest, if you're San Fran, why would you not double that man everywhere he goes? So, Carson's going to have to rely on Miles Sanders. Now, on the other side of that, you have an O-line where three of your offensive linemen are, still under 5 career starts. Mailata is making his first career start at left tackle. And I got to tell you, I'm a little worried. Big has certainly stepped up in his 3 starts, has played well. I'm very, very surprised. So if he can continue to kind of grow and be a nice, reserve guard for when everybody gets healthy, that's fantastic. Then you have Matt Pryor again, who, let's be honest, was probably one of the main reasons why we didn't win last week. That false start penalty was killer. And who knows what would have happened should Jake Elliott make that or attempt that 59-yarder, but at least they would have attempted something, right?
Right.
I just feel like pound the ball. You have San Fran is missing 2 out of the 4 starters on the line. They're banged up all over the place, just like we are, mostly on the defensive side of the ball. Run the ball, man. Just run the ball. Control the clock. Run it. And then, you know what? Sprinkle in some pass. Sprinkle in some short, slants, some screens. I think that's how you get it done tonight. And I honestly think we do have a shot. I really hope that Mike isn't correct in his, the 20-point loss here. But Miles Sanders needs to be your focus tonight. 100%.
Right. Fuji, before I get to you here in a second, of course, speaking of Mike, DJ, AJ, JJ are all out. Goddard is out. Offensive line is decimated. I would love to see them win, but I do know how they are going to do it. Win the turnover battle, I guess. Maybe 3,000 miles away from home is just what they need. Well, it's almost like the reverse effect. We always say that, you come home to some good home cooking and of course, Thanksgiving not being that far away. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we need to fast forward to Thanksgiving and invite everybody to the table, the Giants and the Cowboys and us and DCU, and sit around and tell jokes and everything else and how things are going to get better, because obviously, the Eagles aren't going to get any time better anytime soon. But yeah, who knows? Maybe going away from home, getting away from the link and having that one-day layover in San Fran, maybe it'll do it. Who knows? But that's Mike's input there, Mike Sherman. So Fuji, same question. What do you think?
Well, like you said, maybe the road is what the doctor's ordering. Maybe it's best because, sometimes, get away from all the negative press and, 94, 97.5, everybody's just blowing up the airways with negativity. The Eagles suck, this, that, and the third. And it's like, maybe the plane ride and clear these guys' heads and focus and come together, being the unit that they have. I mean, like Ryan said, run the ball down their throat. Because, San Fran's 3rd in defense overall, 16th against the rush, and 2nd in the pass. So just pound the rock. Jordan Mailata, this is his time to shine. So, 3rd year, 4th year player, and, is he taking up a roster spot? We'll see tonight.
Right.
Maybe he could be that successor of the Jason Peters project. To me, it's time to pull the plug. Thanks for the memories. Hall of Fame career player. Can't take none away. We all tip our hats to him, but, you got to turn the page. You got to stop being loyal to, it's a business. We know he's toyed with Jeff Lurie, but, hopefully this offensive line everybody will step up like they did down the stretch last year, and we see the Carson Wentz that we did see to have the Eagles win the division last year and get in the playoffs.
Right. Well, I want to show here as we're getting closer to game time, but I want to show the clip between Dave Spadaro and Doug. And again, not want to sound like a broken record, but we will hear the similarities of what Doug has been saying throughout the year and see if you guys can pick out anything different what Doug has been saying but has been doing.
We welcome you to our weekly one-on-one with head coach Doug Peterson, presented by Wawa. I'm insider Dave Spadaro. And Coach, I have an idea. I want to go full-on optimism. You going to be with me on this one?
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay. Let's start. What is working with the offense? What do you like with what you've seen in the offense moving forward?
I think we've caught some traction with our run game. I think that's something the last 2 weeks we've kind of put our hat on and excelled in. I like the fact too that we've gone a little more up tempo. With our offense, it's provided points in the first quarter. More so of the field goal nature. We'd love to score the touchdowns, obviously, and that's something we got to focus on. And then just I think too, especially early in football games, getting Carson out of the pocket, allowing him to see the field a little bit differently, has had a little bit of success on the defense and is putting pressure on the defenses that way too. So those couple of things right now in the first couple of games have really kind of sparked us and kept us in these games.
Why does up tempo work, and when have you kind of called it in your coaching history? When is it a feel that you have?
It's really two things. One, it's sometimes you start the game, up tempo. You want to go ahead and put pressure, kind of shock the defense by starting a game that way. And then the second reason is maybe your offense is in a little bit of a lull and you need to spark your own offense. And it's a way to kind of get the offense sort of jump started during a game. So it's a little bit of both. It's feel sometimes because your offense maybe is looking for a spark. And then the other way is you're trying to shock the defense right out of the gate and go up tempo, to start.
You feel you have the versatility with some players to maybe change things up here moving forward, changing up the approach? You kind of mentioned that early in the week to the media.
Yeah, I mean, there's something we're going to take a look at. We got to, with the number of injuries that we have on offense, we're going to have to be creative with the guys we have, right? And look at everybody and even our practice squad players that we might have to elevate, as these next in the coming weeks. And so we're going to take a look at that as a staff. I know you only have a couple of weeks or a couple of days until you're back on the practice field. But we got to do it in a rapid manner, so we have the best possible personnel, available for our upcoming week.
Doug, Miles Sanders, running back, year 2. Tell me what kind of development progress you've seen from him.
I've seen great progress. I've seen a guy that's running with great vision. He's running hard. He runs behind his shoulder pads, as we say. His pass protection has gotten extremely better. In 2 years. He's still, a dynamic pass catcher out of the backfield, route runner is some of the things that we're going to continue to explore with him. But I really like where he's at, going into year 2.
I know the story of Greg Ward is the former college quarterback turned wide receiver in the NFL. I don't even want to talk about him as a former quarterback. He looks like he is so comfortable in that wide receiver position, mostly from the slot. He really seems to have come a long, long way.
He has.
So a couple things here when it comes to Doug. So he kept saying up tempo, and I feel like what was it, Casey Kasem before in the weekly top 40? We're starting up next to this up tempo hit from Bananarama. It just Doug once again says that he wants to do this up tempo thing. And am I missing something? Because where did we see the up tempo last week? Where? I don't remember seeing it. So what is it? I don't know. Do I need to call, what is it, Ryan Clark? What's that goofy kid that took over for Dick Clark or Ryan, whatever his name is? Do I need to talk to him to see what he can do to fix his team? Because I didn't see the up tempo. To me, that made no sense when he said that because we haven't seen it. Unless I'm missing it, unless the rest of the fans are missing it, or Doug did something differently that, again, only Doug knew that was up tempo because we didn't see it against Cincinnati. Again, I leave it up to you guys because that drove me nuts with Dave. It, to me, just didn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, up tempo to me, they look like it's nobody knows who the hell's on the same page. It looks like Keystone Cops, if you ask me. I mean, really just don't look like this team's clicking on cylinders. There's no cohesiveness. I think everybody's just looking around at each other for the answers. And they just look lost. To me, there ain't no heart and fire in this team. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. What's your take, Ryan?
You know, I don't want to go there. You may be right, but I don't want to go there just yet. But you're right. They do look lost. They don't seem to be all on the same page. And injuries, whatever. We dealt with that. We've dealt with that over the last couple of years, and even last year, we were running out. Boston Scott and Greg Ward were our heroes, who saved our season. And Carson, didn't play great in a few games, especially the Seattle and the New England game, but he still showed bits and pieces of his eliteness. And we haven't seen any of that this year. And I feel like it's a combination of a lot of things here, but you can put blame on Howie, you can put blame on Doug, you can, put blame on the fact that they drafted a quarterback in the second round. You can put blame on the fact that, you have nobody to throw it to right now. Granted, most of that's because of injuries, but most of that's because of poor drafting. So there's a lot of things that can go around as far as blame, but I'm just confused because I feel like we thought Doug was a great coach, and now I'm having my doubts. I'm having my doubts because he's not adjusting very well. He says one thing and he does another, or they're up and they don't run the ball. They pass, when every single expert says, milk the clock, try to stretch out the game, limit their opportunities. And Doug's not doing these things. And a lot has been said about him giving up play calling. And I really think it needs to happen. Doug should just focus on the game. Someone else call the plays. But to be honest, it'll never happen. Doug will not give it up.
I think you're absolutely right, Ryan. I mean, it's like, to me, I feel like I'm watching a carbon copy of Andy Reid in Philly. He always loved pass happy. Throw the damn ball, 40, 50 times. Never ran it. I mean, hey, I don't want to dig up a nightmare, but you go back to the NFC Championship game against Tampa Bay, the last game at the Vet. Yeah, you go up 7-0. You got away from running the damn ball. I mean, just the fact of Andy, I don't know what it is. Like, you go back to the Super Bowl year. LeGarrette Blount, Jay Ajayi, Corey Clement. You pound, like, you're barreling teams over. You're running right through defenses, and what got you the damn Super Bowl? You ran the ball. You mixed it up, right? Mixed up the play calling and everything, and the running game was second to none. You couldn't ask for, a rotation of backs that were. Well, Garrett Blount to me was a driving force of that running game, and that's how you won. Run it down the throat.
Right. Lorenzo Rivera with him and his wife Amy. Guys, hope your brand new home is made soon. But thank you guys, Go Bears, indeed. Lorenzo, very good friend of mine, and another transplant from Philly. I guess to put it the same exact way. But Lorenzo, thank you so much, and thank you guys for listening and tuning in as we're of course coming up on the Eagles game here. Mike Sherman says, "Where are your predictions for the game? Almost kickoff." Yeah, Mike. I guess Ryan, I'll have your prediction first, and Fuji, and then I'll tell you what I feel.
Can I steal a line from Rocky? And I predict pain. This isn't going to be a pretty game. I can't until the Eagles show me something. I can't predict them to win. Unfortunately, I'm going to say a lower scoring game. I'm going to say like 23-17, San Fran. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong so hard because this game right now, if you win it, you could turn your season around. You could sneak a victory in Pittsburgh. Ravens got exposed against the Chiefs. There are things to get some wins around this league and throughout the schedule, and it has to start tonight. Or, we're looking at a top 10, top 5 pick. So, I hope I'm wrong.
So, Fuji.
Oh, the Eagles are 4-1 in their last 5 trips to San Fran. Might sound fool's gold. I'll take the heat. Birds 20-16.
All right. Well, as Casey Kasem, I guess, would say is, well, folks, we'll see exactly who's going to win tonight. But I don't believe this dedication goes to the Eagles because I believe San Fran takes it 24-3. Because again, I'm not feeling it. I'm really not feeling it. I wish we could all be wrong, and hopefully maybe they'll prove us wrong. We'll be back, of course, at the half, and who knows? Maybe they'll be up then, and we'll all be eating crow, which is not a problem. And of course, the Juru might be looking at us like, I win again. Week 4 prediction correct. So we hope not. But Ryan, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. Again, if you guys want to catch him, it's on Phillyverse, and we do take the time. Thank you and appreciation of taking the time to be with us today. Fuji, of course, I will see you back here at the half. We hope that the Eagles can pull away a victory today, but we don't see it happening. Prove us wrong. We'll end up seeing, but we'll see everybody again at the half. Guys, thank you very much. Fuji, Ryan, any final words?
Thanks for coming on, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Hey, glad to be here, guys. You guys are doing a great show, and we'll have to have you guys on one of my shows.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate it. We really do. We appreciate it. So, all right, gang. Well, we will see you at the half, and hopefully the Eagles will be up. So until then, we'll see you then.